morning, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Crafting and Crime Daily, the show where I let you see my bra straps. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, so glad to have you. This is where I recap live trials, currently covering the case of Arizona versus Michael Turney for the murder of his daughter, Alyssa. So I've had one video out on this where I covered the opening statement. So I'm just going to briefly walk you through what happened. Alyssa Turney, she was 17 years old, junior in high school, last day of her junior year. She goes to her boyfriend's shop class and she tells her boyfriend, "Dad is picking me up early." Now, this was her stepdad. Her dad married her mom when she was 3 years old. He had 3 sons that by the time she was 17, they were grown and out of the house. But after her stepdad marries her mom, they have another child, Sarah. And we're going to hear from Sarah's testimony. She testified on Thursday, and her testimony will continue this morning. There was no trial on Friday. So she tells her boyfriend, "Dad's picking me up early." And she leaves, and she is never seen again. Yeah, the last person to see her was her boyfriend and her father, allegedly. So the father was supposed to pick up Sarah from school. She was in middle school, and it was her last day. But when time came for him to pick her up, he didn't show up. So she had been to the water park. They had a field trip that day, and so it wasn't unusual that Dad didn't show up. I guess it didn't ring any alarm bells for her. So she just goes to her friend's house, which is a few blocks from the school. So she walks over there to her friend's house. And later on, her dad picks her up from her friend's house, saying that he had gone shopping after picking up Alyssa. And we'll get to that. That's going to be part of Sarah's testimony. But she vanishes. She is never seen again. Now, this is a very interesting case because there's no body. They never found Alyssa. No. And this happened back in 2001. This was May 17th, 2001, that she went missing. And we're just now putting this guy on trial for her murder. So I listened to the opening statements and I was not clear about what the evidence was and what it's going to show, either the defense or the prosecution. So, stay tuned. Oh, look, my little gnome over there. Isn't he cute? So before we get to the trial, a couple of things I want to talk about. First, Enablers Outpost, shout out to them. I left them with a pen that I had purchased at last year's crafting retreat because it had broken on me, and they needed a special drill to repair it. So she repaired it and mailed it back to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But she included some of my favorite plastic. I love these plastic tips. Oh, I know metal is all the rage, but I love these plastic tips. So she included one. But here's what else she included. Well, she included a few, and I'm very grateful for that. She also included this coloring page about a duck. Oh my God. How funny is this? People know that I love the duck song. So she included this little coloring page with ducks. People know me too well. It's very, very funny. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate your humor. So, okay, back to the trial. I just had to mention that. I thought it was insanely cute. Okay, so on the witness stand, after the opening statements on Thursday, the first person on the stand was Alyssa's best friend. So she, very, very nervous, she takes the stand, and the judge, I like this judge, he's trying to calm her down. It's okay, it's okay. You're going to be fine. Just tell us your name. I'm grabbing the microphone like that's going to make a difference. This is the microphone now. I do use this microphone for my lives, so I don't know why it's just sitting there. Anyway, I got ADD this morning. I am all over the place. Okay, so this woman takes the stand, and she says they were in separate grades because Alyssa was a couple years older than her and Sarah was a couple of years younger than her. But when Sarah was growing up, this woman would babysit. I don't know why you would babysit somebody that's only 2 years younger than you, but she considered Alyssa her best friend, despite that they didn't go to the same school, but they always kept in touch. So she said that Alyssa had a very contentious relationship with her father. But when asked to give like an example of the contentiousness, she really couldn't do that. Like, contentious about what? Like, what would they argue about? She couldn't say. So, you know, granted, this is a long time ago. This is 18, 19, 20 years ago now, 2001, 22 years ago that she's trying to remember this stuff. So she said the day after Alyssa went missing, Michael Turney asked her if she would come over and spend some time with Sarah because, you know, he's busy. He's looking for his daughter. So that day, she's hanging out with Sarah. He gets this phone call. Now, she said it was the day after Sarah went missing, but it could have been longer than that, but because I don't think it was the day after that this phone call came through. But in any case, she said when they got up the next morning, he said that the phone call was from Alyssa and she was in California, and that he spent most of his time away from the home looking for Alyssa, trying to find her. He asked her and several other people to write a letter to Alyssa. And we didn't get to see the contents of the letter. I don't even know if it's probably gone. But she said what was in the letter was she talked about, you know, maybe you've been kidnapped, maybe you were forced, you know, all these things that could have happened to her. You know, we want you to come home, we miss you, you know, the usual stuff you might put into a letter. But I don't know what he was going to do with this letter. Then they talked about this phone call again. We went back to this California phone call, and she said that he was trying desperately to get the records of that phone call. And he one of the things you'll recall I said about this guy is that he's very litigious. And if you don't know what that means, it's somebody who just likes to sue everybody, anybody, everybody. He was very litigious, so he actually sued the phone company to get these phone records that showed there was a call from California. More to come on that from Sarah. Yeah. So the next person to take the stand is Sarah. Now, the best friend, she wasn't on the stand very long. So Sarah takes the stand, and she too said that there was a very bad relationship between Alyssa and her father, Michael Turney. She said a lot of it centered around criticism of Alyssa. He didn't like the clothes she wore. He didn't like the way she wore her hair. You know, criticism like that. So then she was asked about these phone calls always being recorded. And she said, you know, she didn't think it was unusual because she was born into it. She says, oh, from the time I was born, you know, they were always recorded. I didn't know any other thing. I just thought everybody recorded phone calls. She didn't see anything amiss about that. She knew that there was a camera on the carport. And the way this camera was angled was it was mounted so you could see the carport, but you could also see the door that they would use to exit and enter the home. They didn't use the front door. She said they had a bookcase in front of the front door. It was locked and they didn't use it. It would keep away witnesses, wouldn't it? Sorry, but or you know, solicitors. Let's just say that. Just keep on going. Anyway, so they would use the side door. So, and he was always filming. You know, anybody that would come and go. They were on this VHS video that he would record. He did tell her about the hidden camera, but it wasn't until after Alyssa went missing that he told her about this camera that he had mounted in a vent that would record what was going on in the living room. And he told her I put it there so I could watch your sister. Then she talked about how after Alyssa went missing, they actually moved to the house across the street. I don't know. She doesn't know why. They don't, but they lived in the house across the street for a little while, and then they moved back to the house where Alyssa went missing. She talked about that particular day when her dad did not pick her up, so she goes to her friend's house. Then when he does pick her up, he tells her, your sister's not answering her cell phone. And then he hands her his cell phone and says, here, you try to call her. So she does. They then drove home, and then the prosecutor said, well, what did you do next? She goes, well, I went into Alyssa's room. Now, she described what Alyssa's room looked like before she went missing. She had a nice little makeup vanity and a TV and a TV stand and a dresser and a queen size bed. And, nothing amiss. And she said that when she went in, she saw the contents of this backpack on the floor. She said it was like papers and stuff. She didn't look at it because she didn't, that was her sister's stuff, and she knew better than to look at her sister's stuff. But they did find a note on the dresser. So, and her cell phone was on the dresser. Yeah. A note and the cell phone. Now, if she was running away, because I've shown you the note, here's the note. If she was running away, why would she leave her cell phone? Makes no sense. I mean, maybe dad's going to cut it off eventually, but you can use it in the meantime. But in any case, so that's where the testimony ended on Thursday at 3:45. This judge starts court at 10:30 Arizona time, which is like 12:30 my time, and then goes till about 4:30. There was something going on Thursday that they needed to be out of there by 3:45, and there was no trial on Friday. But I have another case that I want to talk to you about, so don't go anywhere. This is the case of Rudy Farias. Now, when I saw this on the news, I thought, what in the world? A cold case. This 17-year-old Rudy Farias, Latin descent. He's living in Houston, Texas, with his mom, and he goes missing. She reported him. She said he's missing. He went to walk the dogs, and the dogs came home without him. You're like, what? Okay. So they proceeded to look for Rudolph Farias for the next 8 years. He was 17 when he went missing. Well, last week he was found. They found him unconscious in front of a church. He was taken to the hospital. He was suffering from depression, PTSD, anxiety. He had cuts and bruises all over his body. And his mother released this statement. So, come to find out later on, he returned home the following day. He did run away, and he said, I ran away. He returned home the following day. It was never reported to police that he had returned home. So apparently, he has told investigators that his mom for 8 years was sexually abusing him and drugging him. And he would go by the name of Dolph, like Rudolph instead of Rudy. He was seen by neighbors. Not until recently, because it wasn't until recently that mom actually started letting him leave the house, because she thought enough time had passed from when she reported him missing that it would be okay to, for him to have this false name. He would go to work with her. She worked some kind of a security job, and people called him Dolph. So, according to some reports that I've read, and the validity of these reports is questionable, but it is what it is. But here's the information that I could find. He was, according to the mom, after she's called out for having him in the home for 8 years, she said that he was taken to Mexico. She's maintaining her story. Yeah, that he was taken to Mexico with a bag over his head, and that he walked home from Mexico. Walked from Mexico to Houston. That's why there's bruises all over his feet. So he says she would make him sleep in his bed, in her bed, naked, and they would play Daddy. Okay, that's creepy. Oh my God. Yeah. And he didn't leave because he was so heavily drugged. And not until recently did he get up the courage. He said he took her car keys, he took her car, he crashed it, and he had a credit card, but he ended up in front of this church. So I don't know where this is going to fall out in the future, this case, but I'm going to follow it because I really would like to know, where does the truth lie? I've seen some video of relatives talking amongst themselves. They're very upset with his mother. So it does appear that, yes, he was not missing all those 8 years. So will she be charged with making a false report? And worse, will she be charged with sexual abuse? I don't know. That's going to be an interesting fallout from this case. And of course, it's in Texas, the great state of Gilead. I mean, Texas. Okay. Uh, gosh, I had a blast last night, game night, playing Zelda. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yes, I will watch today's trial, Arizona versus Michael Turney. I will bring you the continuation of Sarah's testimony tomorrow. Don't forget, if you have any show suggestions, please send me a direct message, put it in Discord. I joined Thread yesterday. Yes, I am live on Thread as That Journey Chick, because it goes through Instagram. I'm That Journey Chick on Instagram. I will put the link in my description to my threads if you want to follow me. I don't know what it is, but so far it just seems to be people just saying what's on their mind. I did post. Yeah, people are posting pictures and stuff. I posted the video for myself and Mickey's event, The Great Escape. I posted the vendor video. It's a couple minutes long, and that went up with no problem. And so that's available on Threads. It's also available on Instagram and YouTube if you want to watch it. So about the Great Escape event, if you would like to join in, it starts August 1st. All you need to do is have a new fantasy. It doesn't have to be a landscape, but a place that you would like to go. I'm going to be doing a painting called Fairy Home. It's Fairy Town. But it could be, I don't know, a castle. It could be, use your imagination. Yeah. So, guys, have a wonderful Monday. Yes, it's Monday, but hey, get out there, have an amazing day. I got to finish mowing the lawn. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great one.